so I've had a few different people over the last week or so ask me, what's a rites of passage? Why are you doing a rites of passage for Alexa? A rites of passage actually comes from when I was in school. I did some studies from different cultures, and a lot of cultures, there's some in Africa and Asia in particular, that would have what's called a rites of passage. And what it is you would have a child, right? Sometimes anywhere between the ages of 13 to 16, something like that, would actually go through what's called a rites of passage. And if I can have the kids keep it down a little bit. Alright, and basically what would happen is they would leave their village, right? And they would go through and go through this rites of passage. Now the cool thing is when they came back to the village, they were considered a man or a woman. Go, Indian. Go sit down now. Okay. And one of the things, it's interesting, we have something in America that's very interesting. We have something called adolescence, right? You heard of it. It's sort of this weird state where you don't know if you're a kid, you don't know if you're an adult, right? I mean, 13, you no longer get the kid menu, right? But then when you can't drive until you're 16, right? But then you can't vote until then you can't buy champagne to celebrate that the guy you just voted for won until you're, right? Then you can't rent a van from budget until 25. Then you're still living at home with mom and dad, you know? And so like there's this state where it's sort of like, when am I a man? When am I a woman?
Okay, I helped out with Sunday school. I did after school programs. I cleaned up like neighborhoods, parks and all. And what else did I do? Team Mateo. I did the football stuff, the concession stand, you know. And then cooks.
And one of the things that we as parents want to do is we believe that part of adulthood is being someone who serves and doesn't just think of yourself, but you also think of other people's. And so one of the values that we wanted to do in this rites of passage was to teach her that life isn't just about yourself. It doesn't revolve around you anymore, but it's about pouring yourself out for your friends and even for people that don't consider your friends. And so, all right, the next bit is a little bit about action and reflection.
For this rites of passage over the past 6 months, some of the things we felt like worked for her was learning to cook, like Chris said, learning how to do her own laundry, taking initiative to contact her mentors, that it wasn't our job to make sure that they had their dates together or whatever, that she was doing that and setting up the meetings. And she also started helping with Sunday school classes with Jenny, and by the end was actually leading them. And she was doing gardening with Katie Joe in Kensington, in a neighborhood that has very little green. She was able to help bring more green to that block. And as far as reflection goes, we made it mandatory to post it.
We'll present that later. And we talked about how society sees women and how negative and positive ways that society sees women. Yeah. Here's the thing.
Right. Hi everybody, I'm Zenny. I got to know Alexa because the Lars and I, we were neighbors for about 3 years, I think, and I just recently moved from there. So I got to see Alexa change and grow, and I would say during this process she was very mature, and she handled herself very responsibly. She was always coming to me and saying like, when are we going to meet? When are we going to meet? What are we going to do next? And I was like, oh my gosh, take it easy. But she was very persistent. She was right on top of everything. And so it was really a good experience. I've never been a part of something like this before, nor have I ever had this experience myself. So I think it was really cool to see Alexa and I learn together, kind of get to know each other even more And we focused on Harriet Tubman, learning a little bit more about
My
her.
name is Jenny. I've known Alexa for a long time. Yeah, pretty much. She was born here. I clearly remember Chris asking us to, me and Zenny came to us on Easter at my house while we were blessing the grub and asked us to be Alexa's mentor. And I'm like, what is children for me? But okay. But it's been an awesome experience to have Alexa around. I've learned she's not only like her mother, but she also has a lot of her daddy in her too. And I love the relationship that her and her dad have. They have an awesome relationship, and you don't see that around that much. Daddies don't want to be responsible for their kids anymore. And she always talked about what her and her dad did and stuff. So I love learning about her and her dad also. Alexa was great for us to have around. She was very helpful with the kids, and she was very persistent, like Zach said, and that's it. We learned about Corrie ten Boom, and she'll share about that, and we learned how to cook, what was it, pot roast and flan, but she was more interested in the flan part. She didn't care about pot roast, but you'll learn more about what we did with Alexa.
Chris got all these slides, so please don't look at me if you think something's weird. She learned how to. She did some projects that she's going to share about now that in regards to what it means to be a woman, and she made this amazing collage with Zinni, and I'm going to let them present it and explain the significance of it. And you can take a closer look at it later, because particularly the bikini in the middle from a distance may look like a really hot, sexy teenager, but when you get closer, it's actually not. It's actually a wrinkly old lady, and I love it.
Okay, so this is the positive ways. Okay, and the next one's the negative. So like okay, so this is like girls are like powerful, fun, and like funny, and then you read all those kind of big words.
So we included words like passionate, courageous, bold, driven, because we feel like those were words that characterize what a woman is. I had fun looking for mommy.
We like to kind of pull on some role models. And so with her mentors, she had to create some role models that she would be able to kind of pull from. And what she did over the last 6 months is she either watched movies about those role models or read articles or books about those role models. And she began learning about some things, some attributes from these women, something about these women that she could kind of pull from. And so rather than bore you and tell you every single story, we're just going to kind of show some highlights of, Alexa's going to show some highlights of kind of the 5 different models that she picked.
Okay, so I picked Bethany Hamilton with Katie Jones. She's not here today. Okay, so Bethany Hamilton, she started surfing at the age of 3. She got her arm bit off by a shark at the age of 12. She kept on surfing even though she did not have an arm. She did not give up. She was Christian. So we're saying it's an example for say it.
Life bites your arm off.
Okay, if life bites your arm off, keep on going. So, yeah. Okay. Harriet Tubman, I did this one with Zinni. Yeah. Okay. She escaped slavery. She then went back and freed other slaves. She was called Moses. She stayed strong in hard times, but she did not show fear. She was not